Hello and welcome to episode 18 of Destroy Before Listening, which is a conversation between myself, Pete Byrne, and Dave-Cochrane. That's probably a name you may not be familiar with, but Dave, who is based in Birmingham, has been all over many different projects as a bass player since the mid-1980s. He began briefly in the band Anorexia with Mick Harris of Napalm Death and Scorn, before spending time playing in Head of David up until leaving in 1989. After that group, he was involved in the formation of Sweet Tooth with Justin Broadrick of Godflesh and Yezu, etc., and released an obscure mini-album on Earache Records in 1990. This three-piece group dissolved into the avant industrial jazz band God, headed by Kevin Martin of The Bug. This band pared down into the more dub-orientated Ice and Techno Animal, which he contributed to over the mid-90s. Dave also helped out in the very early incarnation of Kevin Martin's The Bug. In the 2000s, however, he took a break from actively being in any groups, but he was a touring bass player in Yezu, which then paved the way for Greymachine with Justin Broadrick and Aaron Turner of Isis and Hydrahead Records. During this time, he'd also formed Transitional before playing in the band Terminal-Cheesecake, which he has done so for the past 10 years now. Dave is an all-round great bloke and very funny, as you will hear. This show is free, but if you want to support, there are some cool slip mats for sale. The link is in the show notes. Please also share, subscribe or review if possible to help crack through the algorithms. You can also follow on Instagram at Destroy Before Listening. Thanks. Birmingham, like the Black Country, the thing I was going to bring up firstly was this is where like Black Sabbath are from,
right?
And the kind of industrial background of the city and the atmosphere and stuff, which kind of it does impact on the music and the stuff that comes out of the city.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking from my own point of view, yeah. I mean, I know it from sort of working in printing factories, the kind of rhythms that would fill my head throughout the day. You know, you get folding machines, printing machines, guillotines all going at the same time. You end up with these sort of like backwards beat part rhythms and sort of like kit rhythms, but with everything switched around. So the hi-hats on the bass drum, that kind of thing. The sheer relentlessness of it more than anything else. But yeah, and the fact that these rhythms are kind of twisted and sort of inhuman rhythms for sure. Yeah, it's not something you can sort of imagine people dancing to.
So when you do go to pick up an instrument or you go to pick up the bass, there's automatically kind of like you just kind of gravitate towards a more of a percussive.
Oh, I do, yeah, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, when I first started playing bass, when I joined Head of David, I didn't even have a bass, and I got an amp just before we did the gigs in the autumn that year, in the year after. So yeah, I was just used to playing acoustically, so I'd have to hit it really hard, and I like the feel of it, so that kind of stuck.
So what age or what age were you when you started playing the bass?
Playing the bass. Well, I tried to play the guitar before that, from about the age of 15, and I just wasn't getting into it. You know, I didn't. The strings were too close together. It just didn't feel right with me. But then, as I was going to the studio, Mickey Harris used to go to the same studio, Napalm drummer. And this is before he was in Napalm. He was in a band called Anorexia at the time. And I think I'd just been playing around on someone's bass, and Mick says, "Oh, Anorexia are looking for bass." I went along, did that, and yeah, I found it's just much more had a much better. I felt much more natural with it. So that would have been like summer '85.
So are you on any of the Anorexia recordings?
Not on any of that you'd have heard of. No, I mean when the band first started, it was kind of like Muppet punk. You know what I mean? It's like
what's this? Sorry, what Muppet punk?
Muppet punk. You know, it's like kind of like no. I ain't no disrespect to the other guys. They're all as bad as each other.
I've never heard that one before.
But all the songs are sort of like all about sniffing glue, eating bogies, and fucking the Queen, basically. Yeah, so it's that sort of thing. I mean, they did sort of develop into a kind of much more serious cause. I think, they're kind of involved with ALF and that sort of thing. big vegetarian guys they were. But yeah, but when I was in the band, I'm not saying that was my influence, but when I was in the band, it was pretty slapstick. But I mean, Mickey was still amazing. He was still playing like he'd heard him on the Napalm records. It's like, God, man, just being in the same room as him was insane. I was sitting on a washing machine full of bricks, man. That's how I'd describe it. Yeah, you just feel this wave coming off him, and like, yeah, and with him being such an energetic guy, and it's just day-to-day conversations as well. Like, it really comes as a surprise, but.
So I guess at that stage you could see him like destined for doing something that was bigger than anorexia.
I don't know if I did. I don't know if any of us did. I don't know if it was even on our minds. Like, you know, I didn't see this stuff going anywhere, honestly. Yeah. When it first started off, it's like Head of Dave. If you told me now, I'd been talking about it in sort of 36 years time, or however long it is. Then, I'd have been skeptical. Yeah, for sure, man. It came as a surprise. The whole Napalm Death thing taken off. The Mermaid, you know, I mean, you go to the Mermaid, and Napalm Death was sort of supporting pretty much every gig. They were kind of like the house band at the time.
Yeah.
And if I would never have thought that band would have. They were great, they were brilliant, but I would not have thought it would have taken off like it did. Thank God it did.
Moving back to the bass, your kind of inspirations, or like, you know, when you're growing up and you're starting to play like the bass or something, because you've got it's the Rickenbacker, or it turns out it was the Rickenbacker like copy that you had.
Oh, the John Birch, yeah. John Birch used to sort of. It's a similar story with the Laney Clips, which I also had a lot of. I'm talking about Laney Clips, like there's this shop in Birmingham called Musical Exchanges, right? And that's where we used to get all that gear. It was kind of like, you know, it's like going to a hardware store where it's all just stacked up on shelves. It wasn't like a music shop. You'd go in there and they'd have Laney Clips propping the door open. The guy who ran the place had his ashtray and his cup of tea on top of a Laney Clip. They were they're that prevalent. And like, the John Birch bass cost like, I think, 90 quid. You know, it's just like, it's at that time, because all this stuff was basically made for bands like Black Sabbath. And they just weren't that fashionable at the time. Talking sort of 85, 86, the sort of thing records they're putting out around that time that I can remember was sort of like Born Again, probably. I mean, Head of David, we loved them. There's so much of Born Again on the Dust Bowl today. I remember when Blast first introduced us to Steve Jewell at Kerrang, and I think they wanted us to play up and be Bratish or something. But we was like, oh man, you did the cover for Born Again. Oh, we love the guy, man. He came around Justin's and spent the day with him, like. Good times, man. But yeah, I think at that time, you could pick up a Laney Clip for sort of 35, 40 pounds, something like that. Hell. Yeah, and just take your pick from what we got lying on the floor, lads. One of them sort of things. The John Birch bass, again, I think it was £95 it cost, and I wish I still had that.
When did you mistakenly kind of get rid of it, or?
I don't know. It happened sometime in the 90s, where my memory. Yeah. It's probably got left at a gig or at someone's house. I lost quite a lot of amps in the 90s. I think one of them got lent to, I better not name them, a Japanese band, like, and it just came back in bits or something like that. And it's like,
That's a shame. Yeah, but
still, I don't know, man. It's a shame, I suppose. But
you got an actual Rickenbacker a couple of years later, then, I guess.
2006, I got that. It's a lovely one as well. Really, really nice guitar. I bought it off a friend, and at a very decent price as well. And it's like with it being a Rickenbacker, it's kind of, I wouldn't take it on a Terminal-Cheesecake to put it like that. They're kind of a little bit delicate.
Well, bass-wise, who were the people you were listening to?
Well,
as influences.
Tracy Pugh, definitely. The first one would have been J.J. Burnell, Stranglers, specifically the Black and White album. That's the first album I bought. So. Yeah, J.J. Burnell above all else. Jar Wobble, gay advert from the Adverts. I really like the Adverts. Like they had the song No Time to Be 21, which is very heavy bass, and she had this real It's a real doomy, dark sound. Who else? Youth, Killing Joke, definitely. Shen from The Very Things. Cravats, massive fan of them. Steve Hanley from The Fall. All those sort of bass players, really.
And those were kind of, I guess, an influence from then on, really, through Head of David and all through the.
Well, I think for me, like I started out, I didn't know any music that was released before 1977. Really, the first band, but yeah, I mean, my uncle bought me a Sex Pistols record when I was 10 years old. I think just to kind of wind my parents up. I think, but I really, really got into it. And I weren't into the Pistols that much, really. They kind of reminded me of the sort of stuff my uncle had listened to anyway, like The Who, and who I weren't really that keen on then, mainly because of the vocals. But after that, it was things like the Stranglers. Once I heard the Stranglers, when Killing Joke came along and Public Image, Susie and the Banshees, and I was set then. Yeah, later on, The Fall.
Or when did you first become aware of like industrial being a kind of a genre or term that people would be?
I don't know. It's hard to tell, really. I suppose first record I heard that to my ears sound industrial was probably something like Crass, like a Reality Asylum and Shaved Women. I wasn't aware of stuff like Robin Gristle at that time. That came much later. I'd heard Psychic TV before I heard Robin Gristle. And it was probably stuff like Crass. Yeah, are you aware of their stuff?
Crass, yeah. I'd never thought of.
No. I mean, you wouldn't. Well, no. I mean, and I don't fit into that scene at all. But as far as the sounds go, like some of like reality, the track Reality Asylum, on the single version anyway. Yeah, that was when I heard sort of Throbbing Gristle and things like that, I'd recall back to that sort of that Crass single. And the stuff they were doing, some of the album tracks on Stations to Crass. Penis Envy was my favourite album. And there's great tracks on that. It's sort of like predate kind of some of the things the Swans were doing. There's a track called Half-Life. And there's stuff that's reminiscent of that predates it a couple of years on Penis Envy by Crass. And I think that's when I first sort of became aware of that sort of sound and that idea. And there's, bits of Killing Joke, although they're always in a rock format, their songs.
Yeah.
But still, the sounds they were using, particularly on that first album, with grating synth sounds, so grating two-note synth drums, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it would have come from there, and even the weird Stranglers B-sides.
What about bands like Big Black?
Big Black, again, we're doing really. First time I heard Big Black was it's after I joined Head of David and was talking to Paul Smith, who was talking to Big Black at the same time. So he had a copy of Atomizer on him. And I think it's sort of like he was in the offices in Blast first and he put it on. I really liked it and he said I could have it. That's the first time I heard Big Black. So about late 85. And I mean, facing Big Black, I absolutely love Dave Riley. He's a really nice guy as well. Yeah. We did a few gigs with Big Black. They were all really killer guys, really nice fellas. I mean, Albini had a habit of topping up our fee if he thought we weren't being paid enough for the support. And really salt the earth sort of bloke.
Yeah.
My memory.
I guess like Fetus is the other one I was thinking.
Oh yeah, Fetus was something. I think I got into that through the sort of goth side of things. Actually, I think I had a girlfriend who was really into sort of soft cell, Mark Ullman, and there's a record she had that I think I'd seen the posters around town as well. Like You've Got Fetus on Your Breath, and at that age I thought, "Whoa, that's great." And, some bloke sort of crucified with a pig's head. I thought, it's not my sort of thing. But I never really checked them out until I heard I think a record he'd done with Mark Ullman that I really liked, and then what's the album around that time? Hole, I think. Hole was the first time one I got in about 84. Yeah, I really liked his stuff. Wise Blood as well. I haven't really kept up with a lot of his stuff recently, but I think Steroid Maximus was really good. I remember enjoying the hell out of that.
Because I guess that's like a lot of the bands that influenced kind of your, like the Birmingham scene, wasn't it? I suppose, there's a lot of punk
I think the Mermaid really was sort of like punk with bits of metal coming into it. Like Amoebics, I remember being a real pivotal band because that was the sort of band that could unite everyone. You know, the Mermaid would be full to the Amoebics as everyone liked the Amoebics there. I think they were kind of a big sort of important crossover band for that. So yeah, like I say, as far from my point of view, I only ever listened to punk. I've had sort of maybe 2 metal records, Motorhead and AC/DC. The only metal records I had until about 1986. Right, you know, and that's when people were saying, "Oh, you got to come and check Metallica out." I went to see them, and yeah, it was weird, man. It's weird going to a metal gig, coming from punk gigs, where I suppose there's a punk uniform, but there was really a metal uniform, you know. Yeah, I've been going to crash gigs, things like that, where it's all kind of, you know, it's all about positivity and that. And then you go to a metal gig and Creeping Death comes on, the whole audience is on their feet just screaming, "Die, die, die." It freaked me out at first. It really did. I thought, oh my God, what's going on with this cult, you know? But yeah, after that, I sort of developed an appreciation for it, really. Yeah, and the local bands I'd see, like say Napalm Death, Bolt Thrower, kind of thing. Yeah,
kind of like the people you'd be running into at these gigs. I suppose there's a lot of like same people at the same gigs, you know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Mermaid. Yeah, I met a hell of a lot of people through that.
So like there's Mick Harris, obviously, and
yeah, Mickey lived really close to me, so I sort of knew him from seeing him on the bus. And yeah, he was kind of like yeah, I thought he was a bit of an odd guy at first, but he was kind of like a rockabilly. But he'd have like a nice descending Neubaum shirt on or something like that. And he was, you know, quite an animated guy as well, very, very, very full of energy. Yeah. And we became mates and started going to gigs. We used to go and see Membranes and Tools You Can Trust. I met through Mickey, I'd kind of met Justin, and then through Justin I met Nick Bullen. And yeah, those are the sort of 3 guys who I think were the real catalyst for the scene in them days, I think.
Yeah, like Justin Broderick. Was this about the same time? Well, yeah, kind of how you were getting together, because he's in Head of David as well, which you...
Well, he wasn't in Head of David at first. He joined after me. I think what had happened was
right.
Justin was playing in Napalm Death, and he also had his band For the Because, which is himself, Paul Neville, and Benny from God Bless You. And yeah, I think I've met Justin through Mick, and yeah, then I joined Head of David, and yeah, I think after about a year, because like we're starting to get gigs with Head of David, but Sharp, the drummer, he was kind of like married, he had kids, and he was kind of thinking, oh man, well, I can't be sort of going on tour doing that sort of thing. So he ended up sort of like saying, I can't really do it, you're gonna have to get another drummer. Kind of sad, but Justin was a really good mate, so got him in the band, and yeah, Justin's rhythmic ideas are just superb. They just took it in a totally different direction. Justin's just one of the guys who can just pull stuff out the air. Really good guy to sort of fire off. But yeah, I met him in an anorexia rehearsal, actually, yeah. He was rehearsing in the next room, and yeah, he walked in. So this big tall guy with a floppy fringe, and this is Justin. Hello, mate.
The Head of David thing is after he would have left Napalm Death.
Yeah, I mean, Head of David, we were sort of, I think we sort of, all through 86, it was that first, well, the lineup that you know from the record, it's myself, Sharp, Steve, and Eric. And then, yeah, Justin sort of joined right at the end of 86, just before we did the gigs in Germany and Holland. We did a little tour over there with Scratch Acid and World Domination. Yeah,
you played with Scratch Acid, did you?
Oh, 2 fine bands. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah, man. Still a little bit in touch with Brett as well, guitarist. Met him on a Yazoo tour as well in like 2000s and that.
Got Ray Washam as well in Scratch Acid.
Yeah.
Fucking sick. Did he have like the 2 snares?
He did, yeah. He had the 45-degree snare with the no snare off. Yeah, we're kind of standing around that, like you stand around the firework display, you know. We've got 2 snare drums. So. Yeah.
Because I was always wondering, you know, when you hear the Rape Man, the records, I was like, that's how the hell is he doing that? How's he
Right.
you know? And then
Yeah.
you're like, when it's 2 snares, you're like, oh, all right, that's who he's doing it. So I've only seen Damon Che from Don Caballero. He has
Oh,
2
right.
snares,
Okay.
but he has the one to his right side.
Oh,
So he
right.
uses it like as you would a floor tom.
Wow.
So it's quite strange.
Well, there's still nothing on Alex Van Halen, but yeah. Good effort, nonetheless.
Talking about Justin Broderick, weren't we?
Yeah.
And you're right, Nick Bullen's the other guy as well, isn't
Yeah,
it?
that's right. Yeah, Nick. Yeah.
So what was the kind of meeting him and then seeing what he did, or like kind of?
I met Nick in Virgin Records, and he was flipping through the reggae section, the dub section. Yeah,
Okay.
he was with Justin. That's the first time I met him.
These people who you kind of were just kind of running into, or you know, who went on to do, or who you've gone on to do stuff with for like a number of years now, and like the kind of the early musical.
Right. I mean,
alliances or whatever.
I suppose back then, like, Head of David, we were quite insular, to be honest. I mean, even from kind of Birmingham perspective, with the band coming from Dudley, just outside Birmingham. Yeah, the Head of David guys, you wouldn't see them in Birmingham very often, apart from myself and Justin, and we were kind of lived there. So once we sort of met the sort of London guys like Kevin Martin, Terminal-Cheesecake guys who I first met at a gig with the Prong Bolt Thrower, Head of David, and Terminal-Cheesecake. I don't know. It's kind of like I don't know where it came from, because you look at the bands that sort of came before us. If you did other bands, you know, you were in a band or you weren't in a band. You know what I mean? You didn't get sort of people who were doing lots of things. Whereas with this scene, I don't know whether it's maybe because it's something to do with the crusty scene or maybe or whatever, but we seem to get a lot of people doing a lot of different bands, and I think that could have been done something down to industrial stuff as well, because Justin comes from a more industrial background than me. And, he was doing a lot of bands at that time. But yeah, I mean, when I was in Head of David, the idea of being in the same band at the same time just seemed like the thing to do. But yeah, as soon as I sort of fell in more with the God guys and the Cheesecake guys, it was like, yeah, open things up a bit and sort of had to get a little less tribal and a bit more open-minded about it.
You kind of do Head of David for 3-4 years, and then you leave.
It's 85 to 89, 4 years. Right. And did Sweet Stuff. But that was just decided when me and Justin met in a pub one time. It departed from Head of David about 6-7 months before I did. And it already started Godflesh up. And I think there was sort of like within Head of David, you know, there was kind of, we weren't all really on the same page musically of what we wanted to do with it. I definitely wanted to go down sort of more intense route and sort of push it out. But I think me and Justin met up in a pub about 89, and I think it was him who suggested we do something. And he knew Scott Keel, and we just met up. We clicked immediately and came together really quick. I mean, I remember, like, you know, those first 5 songs were put together in about 3 rehearsals, I think. And we had enough to record them, so we just went in and recorded it.
I know you'd mentioned that it was Scott Keel's background was more like jazz.
Yeah, jazz. I mean, he's a big Bonham fan. He's really into Led Zeppelin, but you know, if you sat him in front of a kit and he just started playing, it'd be sort of, you know, more along the lines of someone like Ronald Shannon Jackson, and Scott could play like that. You know, he was, no doubt still is, like very, very talented drummer, and you know, he had the chops, he had the practice. Yeah, you could put him with anyone really.
Because he's from Slab as well, is that?
Slab, yeah, or Slab. Yeah, Slab are a band that can't be underestimated for their influence.
So this sort of scene, I suppose, like sort of picks up maybe like 87, 88, and then into,
Yeah, that's
like the sort of lays the kind of thing for the early 90s, the way that it just kind of seemed to like really explode in terms of like, the creative output, from people like Kevin Martin and
right.
Justin Broderick. I mean, you've got like Slab, there's like Loop as well,
Loop, yeah, Loop are great, man.
and like Godflesh and Terminal-Cheesecake and stuff as well. So
yeah, it's fun hanging around with Robert from Loop. He's a funny guy. I think we was at a Neubauten gig once and we saw someone. Do you remember that TV show El Dorado? I don't know if you There's someone from El Dorado actually at the gig, and Robert just shouts across the whole bar, "Oi, cunt, El Dorado!" He's a funny guy, man. The thing is, you go to the pub with Robert, and he just gets mobbed. You know what I mean? Yeah. You can't really take him anywhere at that time because we actually did straight after Luke finished. Me and Scott did a few sessions with him, with Robert and Scott from Luke, and I think we recorded little bits, but it didn't really sort of happen. It was kind of I think around that time Robert went on to do what was main, basically what became main. So whereas me and Scott, sorry, were really, really rhythmic in what we were doing, where he was kind of getting more into sort of drone guitar. So it didn't really sort of musically click, but it's good fun to do.
To Sweet Tooth again is the so that comes together pretty quickly, and like how, because it's like Earache does the white underbelly, doesn't.
Well, we originally it was a guy who worked at Earache called Martin Nesbitt, who had his label called Stain Drop. And we were originally going through them, but then I think there's some internal politics in Earache that Earache weren't happy with Martin having his own label. So they picked up the distribution, but I don't know. Yeah, we ended up on Earache, and yes, not something Scott was happy about. He wasn't a big grindcore fan, but that didn't bother me. Martin was a great guy anyway.
To be honest, that's probably like the only early Earache, out of the kind of Earache back catalogue thing, they haven't, exploited to death at this point.
No, I mean, it's hard to know what they could do with it either. I mean, definitely I wouldn't support them if they tried to do anything with it. So, as far as having people on board to try and big it up, now I'm happy with it being what it is, to be honest. You can find that record out there. Some records, they need reissuing, but that record, I'm happy with the mix, I'm happy with the mastering, I'm happy with the pressing, I wouldn't want to do anything with it.
It's just normally, I mean, the way that Earache works as a label and stuff, they're just like mercenary, really.
It's a business, I guess, yeah.
They don't, a lot of the stuff, they're just like, it's record store day or whatever it is, or we'll just gouge people by putting this on like another coloured vinyl, a different colour vinyl.
Yeah, I know, but you don't have to buy that stuff, man. People need to tell themselves this.
Oh, this is it. I mean,
just don't do it, man.
This is it. I mean, did he have many thoughts as to the artwork, or was it just?
Yeah, I did the cover for that. Yeah, there's a theme running through the Sweet Tooth stuff. Anyway, it was all going to be animals above humans in the food chain. When it got to the third record, it never produced. It was actually going to be a virus, but that never happened.
Okay, because you basically become kind of like the God band or rhythm section or whatever.
Well, God were already going. God had been going since about 87. They're on a really, really early, about 87. Mark Smith from The Fall had he had a label that I think was called Cog Sinister or something like that.
Okay.
And they had a compilation out, and there's one God track on it. So they were going then. It's a more jazzy, more sax based, for sure. Kind of quite Fallish and Beefheartish in a way.
Yeah.
But then I saw God the first time. It would have been about 88. It's about a 9-piece. Then there's more guitar based. There's a guy called Sean Rogan from Your Part of the World, the guitar.
Okay.
like I say, it's 2 guitars, bass, and I think, Kevin had taken that about as far as he'd wanted it to go with the heavy guitar stuff, and decided he wanted to make it sort of more rhythmic based and have some different instruments in there. So when he asked me if I'd care to come down and do a rehearsal with them, do a gig with them, and I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. So I stuck around, and I suppose that would have been right around the time that Sweet Stuff was winding up. Really, Scott was already in God, so it's just the case of, well, Kevin playing with Scott. That's brilliant. And it's true that I sort of really met and got to know Russell from Terminal-Cheesecake, Gary from God, the bass player in God, and God was kind of had been going since then in various forms. Yeah, I just joined what was there and what was evolving at the time.
So this is like 1990, 91?
Yeah, 91.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when that's the first gig I did with God.
How quickly did things come together for recording the Possession album?
Let me see. I'll never forget the week we recorded, because it was the same week that Robert Maxwell fell off the back of his boat. That's when we recorded the album. So I've joined in 91. The live album Loco came out that year, and we started recording. It would have been November the 5th, 1991, and that was at Richmond College, I think it was, or university. And somehow Kevin Martin knew somewhere who had the keys to this place or something, and we could just go in sort of after the college had finished and work through the night. Yeah, it was great. There was good access to instruments for the percussionists as well, because they had all that kit there. They had timpanis and all sorts there. We had piano on there. There was a bit of harp at some point.
Harp?
Yeah,
was it?
Pretty sure there was a harp. There was a harp there. I think if it was there, they probably would have used it.
Okay. So there's harp on the record somewhere?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't swear to it, but
yeah. I mean, I didn't notice.
There's didgeridoo on there. There's definitely didgeridoo.
Yeah,
definitely didgeridoo on there. I remember that being blown. Yeah.
So it was just a kind of a bit of a experimental free for all, if you've got all that stuff.
Well, there's nothing on that record that we made up in the studio structurally wise. I think everything where we went in there with rehearsed. The rehearsals wouldn't be the full band, if you know what I mean. You'd get the drummers, 2 basses, Kevin Martin definitely, often Tim Hodgkinson. It's Justin on that. Justin played on that record, yeah.
Yeah, how did you form a song? Or track? How did it work?
With God stuff, 7 times out of 10, Kevin Martin would say, I've got this idea for a rhythm, and it would come from a rhythm. A lot of the times we'd just be playing together and doing stuff out the air, really, jamming, basically, but with the emphasis on not jamming as well. So last thing we wanted was kind of progressions in what we're doing first, kind of rock sort of sense. It was more about sort of building intensity and bringing in different textures. Yeah, it's kind of but from our point of view, no, I was just hammering nails. But yeah, I mean, we'd never have the whole, wouldn't. I don't think there's ever a God rehearsal where we had the whole setup there, unless we were kind of going on tour the next day or something. But for recording, it'd be like a very, very stripped down affair. I think Justin did a couple of rehearsals, but I'd be going down there sort of every weekend.
Did you move to London, or were you always...
No. Still London. It terrifies me. It's just a side.
Okay.
It does, and it's just too fast. It's true. It doesn't suit me at all. And the thing about London, if you're in London, you're in there as a musician. Everyone you know is a musician. I mean, just everyone. Whereas here in Birmingham, most of the people I know have got nothing to do with music. Most of my friends have got nothing to do with music. So I feel like it's kind of less ghettoised, and I think it becomes less of a chore that way. I think it's something you can sort of go to, and to be in that place and not really have that do with it all the time.
Yeah. So what by way of gigs or like touring and stuff did you do in that group?
It seems like, I mean, I've got a memory of doing quite a lot of gigs considering the size of the band. I mean, I think we had sort of maybe 5 European trips. We didn't play an awful lot in England. I think it's just hard to
No.
get booked with a band that size, So we did sort of like we did London quite a bit. And we did decent support slots in London as well. Birmingham, I think we played once. Newcastle, I think I played Newcastle, but I wasn't in the band at the time. The Head of David were on the same bill. Head of David, God and God bless you, the Riverside.
I would have been too young.
Oh man, you're just an egg back then, eh?
Oh well, I think I'd mentioned no. I think I'd mentioned it was this sort of ties in because how I heard God, I would have been, I guess, 13. So it was just after the album had come out. It was in the local library.
Of course, yeah. You said it in the library.
Possession was in the CD library, and I didn't really know. I was just like, oh, that's cool, And
that's wilder.
Yeah, and I got it, and I was just like, what? This is a completely different thing because in terms of like industrial, that's what it should be about, not what it was in the 90s, which was kind of Nine Inch Nails and like Ministry blowing up, and then it becoming like Marilyn Manson and sort of goth music, really.
Oh right, yeah. Well, I mean, I've definitely got a lot of goth in me. I must admit, like, yeah. I mean, I'm Susan the Banshees.
Oh, but this is like 90s goth kind of thing.
Right, yeah. I wasn't so much of a goth then. I didn't go into.
Well, exactly, yeah.
But I suppose by the time the 90s had come, I wasn't aware of a lot of that industrial stuff. I'd really got into hip hop at that point.
Yeah.
And I think from about 91 to 97, I probably didn't hear a lot of rock music,
Yeah.
Not a lot in the way of in industrial goth, I must say, like,
No, it was just the kind of avant-garde thing and the fact.
Right, I see what you mean.
Getting on that kind of like a lineup and stuff, and it getting on a Virgin Records as well, which is
that was pretty crazy. I was still the second Ice album was on Warner's basically, Bizarre or Straight Records, which is a subsidiary of Warner's, and that blows my mind to think that record.
Because you've got like the kind of it's Ice and Techno Animal and stuff as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
they're kind of on substantially like larger record labels, but the stuff is like way more kind of out there.
Oh no, I can't get my head around it, to be honest. Yeah, that's Kevin's gift, man.
Yeah, I mean it is a hustle, like definitely, like what he managed.
He's a great hustler. He really is. Yeah. And he's not an asshole either. So he's doing it for all the right reasons.
Yeah. How is Ice? There's a lot of crossover between Ice and God as well, isn't there? But what's this sort of distinction?
Pretty much, yeah. I think what happened around sort of early 90s. I mean, I think I explained to you before how Kevin was kind of managing everything. You've got a 13-piece band. You take a band like that on tour, stop off at a petrol station, open the door,
everyone's missing,
and it's just a zing. 13 vectors go flying off, like Yeah. And I think things like that. I think they got a bit wearing, and just the uphill push of it all, and it was getting expensive to get the band around. So Kev had been sort of thinking about we were listening to a lot of dub in that time as well. I mean, everyone was really, and it's part of that really. It's like God, some of the ideas of God, the basic idea of God, but stripped down and done, in a more sort of dub fashion. Although I hesitate to call it dub. It's kind of it's psychedelic, lots of God, but a little bit more sort of what became known as isolationist, I suppose. Yeah,
because that's the Virgin Record compilation as well.
Yeah, which Kevin put together. Yeah.
Yeah,
he did a few comps for them. They're all excellent. Macro dub infection, isolationism,
and then there's like Kevin and Justin do Techno Animal as well, don't
they? Yeah. They got that together really early. I think I remember when they were recording the first album in 1990. I was actually meant to go and do something on it, but I ended up doing something else. I think I went to some kind of jazz festival with my girlfriend at the time, but yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But I ended up playing on this re-entry on one track. So that's nice. Really love that album as well.
So was there any like briefers towards what you would be doing on that?
On re-entry, there was, yeah. I just happened to be at Justin's at the time when they were sort of recording it, and Kev was worried about something that he'd sampled, and I was like, well, we could just put a bass line that's a bit like that in there, no worries. And I was there, and he said, Dave, can you do us a bass line? Yeah, sure, man.
Is this also how the sort of formation of ideas for the bug as well at that time?
First thing we did with the bug was tapping the conversation, which is kind of like I don't know how it came to be the bug. I think it was something to do with the what we were allowed to do on the ICE contract, because at that point we were sort of like contracted to them, and it was kind of exclusive, so we couldn't just go and do something else. So we had to Kevin had to come up with a new name, do it as a producer. We also did an EP for 1617, which is like a remix. They'd done the recording, and then Kev had done a remix, and I played bass on it. And that was kind of like a bug production as well as a remix. And from that, I think Kev got the idea that, well, let's do this stuff myself now. By that time, he got his studio set up. So he didn't really didn't have to rely on people so much anymore. And I think that really, felt great. Sort of rush of freedom from that. Fair play, like that. But yeah, that tapping the conversation, that was a lot of fun to do. That's the first time sort of I'd been in someone's home studio where you're not working against the clock.
Yeah.
And he had all this mad. I think he had something like a Sherman filter bank, so it was putting the bass through all these really wacky effects. Yeah, it's absolutely real delight to do that. I only did one more thing with him with the bug, apart from a bit of help with artwork. But by that point, he's set. He's got his sound. He's got his whole setup. Like, free to do whatever he wanted then. But we did a 12-inch for, I don't know what it's called, to be honest, Lowrider, I think. Yeah, it's very different from what Bug turned into. It's sounded slightly 80s-ish kind of Cabaret Voltaire sort of feel to it, I think. Yeah, that's pretty much what I know about the Bug starting off. It it's organically rolled into being, really. I don't think he had sort of a plan, this is what I'm going to do. It's that one soundtrack record, having to change his name for it. And then, went on to do all that great stuff he's done since then.
After the kind of end of the 90s and stuff, you're not really as active.
No,
I guess because it probably takes, you've spent like 10, 15 years or whatever, kind of just.
Well, I think sort of like
experimental.
God had come to an end. Ice had pretty much come to an end as well. I was thinking, that's it for now. I think, give at least a few years out, and ended up joining that band Courtesy Group in Birmingham, and that's always been great fun. And I think what happened next?
It's a transitional stuff.
Maybe, I'll tell you what happened.
Is this your introduction to sort of home recording?
No, I've never.
It's not.
I've never done anything at home. No.
Okay.
I need to. I mean,
get some other fucker to do it.
No, but I ran into Carl Blake. Do you know Carl Blake from Shock-Headed Peaches?
No.
Oh right, they're a band you should check out from the 80s and 90s, because they're sort of, along with Head of David, they're sort of they still had that real love for things like Black Sabbath and riffs.
Okay.
But yeah, hooked up with Carl. We did a gig with Lydia Lunch. That was a proper lot of fun. That was, really enjoyed that. Transitional, I suppose. A couple of years after that, about 2005, 2006, and that was down to MySpace, I think. I'd moved away from Birmingham because I just had enough of it, to be honest. There's a lot of partying, a lot of socialising. I wasn't doing anything else, so that's probably why I was sort of relatively quiet for a bit as well.
Yeah.
And I moved up to Leeds for 2 years.
Oh.
Really had a good time up there, and that's when I sort of discovered the internet, really. Went on MySpace, and that's how I got in touch with Kevin Lasker. So I was actually trying to contact Russell from Terminal-Cheesecake on MySpace. I put a notice up saying anyone know where Russ is, and then this guy Kevin Lasker pipes up saying, "Oh, I know Russ," and me and Kevin became friends. started hanging out, and we just sort of jammed out some ideas. And it's a good way of working with Kevin, like I say, because he's very technical, he's very organised. I can just play a bass. I'm totally happy doing that.
So I guess coming back to play more actively is Greymachine, which
right, yeah, that came out. That came about. Another thing that happened when I was living in Leeds around the same time as Transitional was starting off was Justin got in touch. He needed someone to fill in for Dermot who couldn't get into the States, visa issues. So, Dermot's a great mate. It's a horrible way for it to happen, but I went and when they did two tours with Yezu in the States, so that sort of that put me and Justin together again for a bit. So then that's when we came up with the idea for Greymachine. That took quite a while to put together, as I remember. Justin did all these parts; they're all done. But the logistics of getting everyone else involved to do it, working in everyone's schedule, had about 18 months to it, and then the final mix as well. But yeah, that was another great time recording with Justin. Very relaxed. Go up there. I remember we got really, really drunk the night before and listened to just shitloads of really harsh noise stuff. And then, got up in the morning and, like I say, he'd done most of his already. He'd done most of the record as it was, and I was just adding to what was there. But yeah, that was a real blast doing that.
Well, the noise thing, it is pretty abrasive. Like, it's not.
Oh man, yeah,
it's not comfortable to listen to for any.
Not at all. No, I mean, I couldn't listen to the whole thing.
No.
Horrible thing to say, isn't it? Like going to watch your kid at sports day, like, I couldn't watch him do the whole race. And it's like, the 12-inch that came out of it, Vultures Descend, really, really chuffed with that. And what's the other track on there I really like? We Are All Fucking Liars or something like that.
The other thing I had down was the collaboration thing with Oxbow, for Supersonic.
That's right, yeah. Well, Nico is someone because Kevin Martin put out the first Oxbow record over here on Pathological, so we'd known each other since the late 80s, really. Myself and Nico, at least the very early 90s.
Sorry, this is the guitar player.
Yeah, Nico Winner. Yeah.
Well,
on the Yezu tour in the States, we'd played a couple of dates with Oxbow, like in San Francisco and it's sort of West Coast. So we'd hooked up again. I mean, like I said, we'd both known Nico since the early 90s. I'd never met Eugene before, but I've met him many times since. And Nico just said, "Well, Oxbow, we're doing this Loves. It's a stripped down version of Oxbow. It's not the full band. How about you want to do a song with us?" Like, me and Justin, we're like, "Oh yeah, definitely, we're up for that." And Stephen O'Malley as well. We've done some dates with Son over there. So I suppose there's a couple of gigs where we're all together, all three bands are together. We're playing dressing rooms. So I think that came out of that. From that, it's very improvised. I think it was the instruction I got from Nico is that it's in A, and that just start playing when I hold my hand up. It's one of those sort of things.
Hammer an A note.
Pretty much, yeah.
Dave-Cochrane style in it.
It took me a while to find the A, but once I was there.
It's normally G or something.
Well, yeah, once I'd found it, it's all good. And that was really fun. Yeah, some good pictures from it anyway.
Yeah,
Eugene and his kecks.
Yeah. So this puts you in the kind of, well, I suppose it's a couple of years, I guess, till you join Terminal-Cheesecake, is it?
Yeah, that would have been 2013, and that was through a guy called Will, who was he's putting together a little CD because he's a big supporter of this kind of music, and he's putting a CD together for his, I think, one of his key birthdays of some of his favourite musicians playing his favourite songs, and Will's such a nice guy. So yeah, went and did that, and I wasn't very well at the time. I'd had a bike crash, and I'd had some lingering infections after it as well. I was on antibiotics a lot, and I've been on antibiotics so long they were starting to affect me in other ways. So I find it hard to get about and walk about, and then I just basically had to change my lifestyle. I couldn't drink anymore. I had to sort of be careful about what I ate. And I was kind of recovering around that time, but Will sort of kept me going. Really kept me interested in the music stuff. You'd have like projects like this all the time where you just needed a few bass lines, and I didn't really have the energy to sort of get involved with the band, but that was great. And Will's lovely. He'll just come and pick you up, drive you to the studio, you do your bit, and he'll take you home. So it's a way of staying connected through all that illness time. And it's through that that I met Gordon from Cheesecake, because he is one of the other guys that Will had brought along to play these songs. We were doing sort of like a couple of Killdozer songs. Michael Gerald was involved at some point. Did a couple of Slab songs. I think Steve and Slab was going to do it for a bit, but in the end, he just thought, I don't know, no, I think I'll leave it. I don't want to be getting back into all that music stuff. And the thread there. So we're doing this like a little compilation thing for Will's birthday, and that's how I met Gordon. I was really impressed with Gordon's guitar. He can play sort of proper punk rock guitar and really, really way out, really experimental, very strange stuff. We hit it off immediately. And he was telling, because I was a massive Terminal-Cheesecake fan, you see, still am, right? And even from back then, they were the band for me that I think sort of aged better than most, I think, for the records. So I was actually on a Mad Cheesecake binge at the time, and he was telling me that him, Russell, and the guys are going to get together again. I was thinking, that's amazing. Thought, yeah. And at the time, they were going to have Mick Parkin, the original bass player, and I was just really excited about seeing Terminal-Cheesecake again. And I didn't hear anything about it for a while. And I think just before Christmas of 2012, one got in touch again and said, we're talking about Cheesecake. I said, oh, yeah. It turns out, Mick can't do it. And Fez, the other guy that I had in mind, we played on the later sort of Cheesecake stuff, another fellow bloke. He couldn't do it either. So he asked me if I wanted to do it. And I was like, yeah, fucking right, man. Because I was starting to feel a lot better. Walk about, and I thought this is coming at exactly the right time. And jumped in with that, and it was man, it's got to be probably the most fun I've had in the band, actually. I think it's the most democratic band I've ever been at. I mean, everyone was kind of like, no one had a say on like, oh, this goes in or that this doesn't. It didn't come down to one person. It was very much about just instincts, really. You instinctively feel when it's working. And we all look at each other and we know it. And
I guess you've been doing bands a while by. Well, everyone's been doing bands a while by that point. That the fun of doing something.
Yeah, and I like both ways. I mean, I'm more than happy to just go along and play bass lines in someone's band. That's fine. I enjoy playing. I used to be really snobby about covers bands, but then I played like a covers band for one of my mates' birthdays the other year. I fucking loved it, man. Well, first of all, oh my God, we're playing songs we like, Yeah, so just for the pure love of the music, I'll be in a band where I don't necessarily have to say what the music or what the ethos of the band is or anything. I'm quite happy to do that, but the better times are when it's a collaboration for sure. You feel like you're getting more fulfillment out of it, more enjoyment out of it, and like it's something worth doing, I guess. I can get into the idea that I'm just sort of getting distracted if I'm playing in someone else's band, but I think that's why I think Cheesecake is one that I've had the most fun with, and I hope to be doing some more stuff at some point. Well, I've just done the artwork for a cover of some sessions that are getting released from the first lot of sessions we did in 2016 that turned up on a tape thing. I mean, it's easy when we recorded Terminal-Cheesecake to forget that you've recorded something. It really is, man. Because I mean, we're going on to sort of like, we got locked in this studio in the middle of this like rocket testing field, basically. So it's desolate. There's nothing else around. Totally flat. It's freezing as well. So, because you're so exposed there. So it made more sense to just carry on doing stuff and, obviously carry on drinking and playing throughout the night. So the guy just basically left the machine running and went home, the guy in the console, and we just carried on. And there's hours and hours of stuff. There's pretty much an album's worth of it coming out soon. It was all sent on a hard drive, and one of the volumes on the hard drive hadn't loaded when it got pushed in to the computer. Try it on another computer, and it came up. So there's this volume that we'd completely forgotten about. So I was thinking, if we'd have found it to start with, that stuff would have been on the album.
It's just a lost album, isn't it? A lost recording.
Yeah, it was definitely lost.
You can do that.
That was proper lost. That was.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's cool. I mean, if I don't know if there's any other bands you want to like really.
No,
because I know you've got your Brooks and Maria, but that's not really.
I'll say a bit about that because I won't go into a lot of detail, but I mean, the end of it's a Cheesecake tour in about 2018, and Brooks and Maria are a band I absolutely adored. My favourite of the new bands. So I used to go and see them a lot, and there's something about the energy about it that I liked. And it reminded me of Crass in a lot of ways. That's what attracted me to that. And they had unfortunately a really nasty car crash in the early 2018, and the band kind of sort of fell apart after that because we sort of I think we just weren't getting on really. And asked me if I'd join and do a tour with them, a 4-day tour, just fill in until I got a bass player, and I ended up sort of playing with them for about a couple of years. It's really, really interesting experience for myself in that I'd never really played fast in a long time, not since the very early days.
Yeah, because it sounds more like a hardcore style band.
Yeah, it's a lot of hardcore sensibilities in it. I wouldn't say it's a lot. There's a lot of stuff in there when you really sort of listen to it, but
it's too noisy and kind of just like really harsh to be like a hardcore band.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. It's just it's that kind of grey area music in it, which is my favourite place really. And the drummer Paul Anthony is my god, he's a very young, fit guy, you know what I mean, and very creative. Just trying to keep up with him. Yeah, that was. I found it helped my playing immeasurably. Really, it's really kept me on my toes. But I'm not with them now. No, but I thought at the moment it's just pretty much the courtesy group and seeing what's going to happen with Terminal-Cheesecake. And again, it's like we said earlier about like. If it's my younger days, I'd definitely be thinking, I've got to keep going, got to keep going. But, right now, I'm just thinking when I get inspired. the live albums called again? One's called The Loco.
Oh, the God
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, the other ones, it's at the recording at church, isn't it?
That's Loco. I'm thinking
That's
of the
Loco.
second one that was recorded in Switzerland.
Oh, yeah, right.
But anyway, whatever that's called.
Yes.
Nico's on that one.
That one, it's terrible, isn't it? You can't remember the name of your own group.
Oh, man.
I know people have been doing that. Hold on, I'll just have to check my discography on Discogs and that, because I don't know what the fuck I did.
I've got a copy of it. Called Consumed. Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
One of the 3 God CDs I've got. 4, actually. So some very kind gentleman bought me the remixes one, which I never had for years.
Oh, I listened to that one yesterday because it was on, someone put it on YouTube.
Oh, right, well.
I was like, yeah.
That appeal to human greed, don't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting remix choice.
I know, yeah. I really like the Kevin Shields one on that.
Yeah.
I think he approached it in such a great way because he didn't really add anything. He just kind of used what was there and approached it in what he felt was the same spirit. Yeah.
Like Lumberjacks as well. The New Kingdom, they don't produce anything else, I don't think. But...
I spent some time with them guys in '97 in New York.
Oh, New Kingdom?
Yeah.
Did you? Oh, you got if you've got any stories. It's not Sarge, isn't it? Sebastian.
Yeah. What I think it was after New Kingdom had finished, and there's something called Truck Stop, which is Sebastian, Scotty Hart, Scott Harding, and I think someone else. I can't remember who else. But yeah, that's the first time I smoked a blunt. Oh my God! Seriously, I came away from there thinking, I don't know how they get anything done. I was like, fucking back, man. Everything was blue. Like, obviously, I was there with Kevin Martin, who doesn't touch the stuff at all. He's taking great delight in my misery. Like, I'm trying to keep up with these guys, and it's like, oh man, yeah. We did one gig. We did one gig over there as the Bug, in '97. Yeah.